Hello my fiber loving friends, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be looking at the remainder of all the yarns that I got during the Hobby Lobby clearance haul. I have already posted the first part of this, which talks about all the non-wool acrylics that I purchased, as well as the links to the patterns that I'm going to use them for. You can find that video via the link in the description, and I'll put it up in the cards for your viewing pleasure. But today I wanted to talk about all the hand-dyed yarns that I got and the Crochet sock, because that was my major goal going in, was getting some of the hand-dyed yarns. Obviously, that is what I enjoy knitting and crocheting with. I love fingering weight yarn, and I love for it to be a hand-dyed yarn because of the uniqueness in it. And I know it's kind of a double-edged sword because you can't really match it up sometimes, but I think that's the beauty in all of it. So, grab your cup of coffee or whatever beverage you're drinking on, grab your project, sit back, and I hope you enjoy the show. As always, any of the patterns that I talk about during this will be linked down below as well. Some of these may be free, some of them may be paid. It's just what I'm choosing to use for my yarns that I bought. And I'm hoping it inspires you to cast on or start something that maybe you would not have done otherwise. I did not get all the yarn. I did not buy off the shelves. Honestly, my store had a lot of this because no one ever buys it in my area for whatever reason. Every one of the peg hooks had yarn on it except for maybe 2 or 3, and most of them had at least 3 to 4 of each color. And when I was talking to the associate, she said that she thinks there was even back stock of it. So I did mainly buy 2 of a lot of the colors that I like, and I didn't even buy every color. I just bought ones that I knew that I would like or that I can make a use for. So I kind of had a plan. I didn't just go in there and grabbing stuff off the shelf. But I thought we'd start off with the Crochet sock because it is one of the sock yarns that has been around forever, and Crochet sock is a really great base. I mean, it's a 75-25, meaning it's 75% wool and 25% nylon, and it's a good wearing yarn. I've been buying Crochet for many years now, and I have, I think, a pair of socks out of it, but these are the colors I got. I got 2 of each of these stripes and 2 of each of the solids, with the intent of using possibly these together and these together. So, what am I going to use these for? Well, I mean, if you want to make socks, this is a great sock yarn. I see this question a lot, and so maybe we should talk about that. 75-25 has to do with the amount of material in the sock yarn. So this yarn, for instance, has 75% wool, 25% nylon, and that means it's a blended wool fiber. That nylon is what gives these yarns the durability to use as sock yarn, meaning that when you make your socks and you wear them, you're not going to develop holes as fast as if you use something like this, because these are just 100% superwash. This has no nylon to give it added durability. This does. So if I had to choose what to use to make socks, I'm going to choose the Captions Crochet and not the superwash wool. Also, it gives it a little bit more of washability. So one of my labels is coming off, but it has your washing instructions on it. Now there is this little thing in the back right here on your label, and that also has your washing instructions. There's actually several sheets you can find online. You can print them off. I have them in my knitting and crochet binders, and I have one actually pinned in our laundry room, just telling you what those little symbols mean as far as washing. but it does have washability and wearability. So if you're wanting to make a pair of socks, you know, these are a great yarn. These retail though, which is crazy, for $8.99. I remember when this used to be like under $5 in the store. Not even 3 or 4 years ago. And it's shot up to $8.99 for one. Being tall, almost at 6 feet tall, and having a women's US 13 shoe, yes, I have to buy 2 of these to make a pair of socks. And that gives me a sock with a decent cuff on it, which is the leg of the sock, and ribbing. So I have to buy 2. So that would be $16 for a commercial sock yarn, which just seems crazy to me these days, where something like this was a retail of $14.99. But again, this doesn't have nylon. So these are a total of 166 yards, and they're 50 grams, which is 1.75 ounces, which is 152 meters for all my over the ponders. And this color is actually called Northern Lights. The color that I got to go with it is called Saltwater. And then the purple version of this is called Midnight Orchid. And then to go with it, I got Plum. So what am I going to make with these? Obviously, I can make socks with these. However, again, I have big feet. Making socks is not a joy for me. They literally go on forever and ever. But I have been wanting to make some Rose City rollers, which are basically some shorty socks, and try those. Because really, that's what I wear every day around the house is shorties. I don't ever wear normal socks. And most of the time I don't even wear socks. I'm barefoot. So it's a southern thing. However, I thought it would be really cute to do some baby knits to put up in these because of the durability of the nylon and the washability that they have, that they would be easy to care for by a new mom, because they could just wash it on low, and they can even just lay it flat to dry and not even have to worry about it, or they can hand wash it a little bit. And I am working on that bag of stuff that I want to leave for my future grandchildren. So as far as patterns, what I can make with these, I was thinking maybe the baby surprise jacket. Now the baby surprise jacket, which you can see here, is a pattern by Elizabeth Zimmerman, and it's an amazing, amazing pattern. It has been made 30,404 times. The baby surprise jacket has many different variations. Even though it is actually written in DK, it has been made in fingering weight quite a few times. And it's also been translated in 7 different languages. There's even versions that people have made with hats, with collars, and all these pattern notes that you can search are on Ravelry, that you can find via that link. And if you do not know how to use Ravelry, make sure you check the how-to playlist, and I'll link that in the cards and down below that I have as well on this channel. So this pattern, again, made for DK weight yarn, has been made in DK weight yarn over 6,000 times, 6,642 to be exact, but it's been made 4,309 times in fingering and 979 in a light fingering, which this is more of a true fingering than a light fingering. It has even been made in lace 90 times. But some people have even made this all the way up into out of a super bulky yarn and bulky yarn. So there's just a lot of craftability with this pattern, and it looks amazing in solid colors or tonals. And it looks really, really good in stripy yarns. So if you look at the Ravelry page, it's kind of confusing. There's a lot of places where you can find it. It was in Knitters Magazine several times throughout the years, and it's been in different kind of workshops. But the easiest place to find the pattern is, and I'll link the direct link down below, which is Schoolhouse Press. And the pattern retails for $11.99. or you can pay $19.99 and get the easy calculator, which helps you determine how much yardage you need via whatever weight yarn you're going to be using. But you can also find that information just by reading through the project notes, because again, 30,000 people have made this. There's a ton of project notes that you can look at and find whatever information you need. So just keep that in mind. Another one that I'm really wanting to do, possibly gnomes. I really enjoy knitting gnomes. I like to crochet amagori. I'm a magori as well, but I really enjoy knitting it, especially gnomes from Imagine Landscapes. But the one that I want to make is called Leave Gnome Stone Unturned, and it is basically 2 gnomes in one, because the baby gnome fits in the backpack of the big gnome. And since these colors are very coordinating, I thought, how cute would it be to do like the big gnome, like the daddy gnome, in the blues, and maybe make a little girl gnome and put her in the purples and have her going in the backpack, and then just pulling from some other yarn scraps that I have for the beards and the hair, etc. And then using the leftovers in my sock yarn blanket, or making little squares on my for my barn raising blanket, or even making little stockings or ornaments later on with them. There's just a lot of craftability with fingering weight yarns, and these retailed, like I said, for $8.99, but I bought them for $2.24. So for me, that's a pretty good deal to get a gnome out of, because even if I use, just 4 of these, that's still going to be a good bit of yarn left over for a baby surprise jacket, because I can do it in stripes. I mean, there's several projects I can get out of these 8 little skeins of yarn. And I'm going to link my project pages for my different blankets I just talked about in projects below, in case you want to check that stuff out as well. But yeah, I mean, these small kind of skeins just are great for stuffy making in general. So now let's look at all the actual hand-dyed. And so just to give you an idea of what's going on in this basket, I did get a variety of the superwash, the ones that had the, I think they have this stellina in them, which I think they call it something else. Some of the bulky, and I think I got 1 or 2 of these that have the alpaca blend. Yes. And I have used Hobby Lobby authentic yarns before. I actually bought some bulky, and I made a hat, this hat, which it didn't have that many knots in it, and to be honest, I was a little surprised, because it's still a commercially produced yarn, even though it's hand-dyed. And typically you do find knots in commercial produced yarns anyways, and that is so that it can be cheaper to produce. So looking at the bulky weight first, I did buy 2 of this, which is Olive Tree. Was it Olive Tree or Olive Tweet? Olive Tree. Olive Tweet. So this is a very pretty pastel-y green, oranges, yellows. This is really what I love. And then I got 2 of the Blue Canyon. Love those. I get 2 of the Petunia Petals. So these are all hand-dyed chunky weight yarns. They are 100% superwash, 3.5 ounces, and there's only 110 yards in each of these. So when I bought these, my process in thinking was that I needed to get 2 a piece, and the reason being is because the majority of the patterns that I would need them for, I'm going to need at least 200 yards, especially for things like a longer or bigger hat. etc. So let's look at some of the patterns that I plan on using for these. Typically, your bulky weight hats run from 110 to 180 yards. If these are only 110 yards a piece, and maybe the pattern calls for 118 yards, then you're still going to need to break in another one of these. So if you're out and about and you're wanting to make some bulky weight hats and you see a deal like these, just know to grab two for that reason. And I think that's where knowing a general idea of how much yardage it takes to make something is super beneficial. And I'm gonna there used to be a chart that Lion Brand I think had that kind of have like ballpark figures. If I can find that in my notes, I will link that down below, and I advise maybe printing it off and keeping it in your wallet. It's a really great practice to do. I used to have one printed off, but I don't know where it went. In case you are out on vacation or run across sales like these, you kind of get an idea of how much you need to buy. And the reason I say that is there are times when you think you might have enough yarn and then you don't, and then you have to go searching for another skein of it. And it can play with your project a lot. Also, when there's clearances like this, there are people who come in and buy out the entire section and resell. And we all can have our own opinions on that. I'm just going to say that. But a lot of times they're going to mark up and take advantage of the supply and demand of that sale to gain a profit, which it's a business thing, I get it, but seeing that in a lot of the Facebook groups right now, there's this big controversy because people went in and bought all of these. These were $13.99 for this bulky, and they were marked down to $3.49, and they bought them all and they're just reselling them. So sometimes higher than the actual MSRP retail price, because they know people are going to go in there and buy things and then realize they don't have enough yarn and they're going to need that one, and they're profiting off of that. So just be aware kind of your yardages per items, so that way you can buy what you need to begin with, and then if you have extra, you can always put that and make something else with it. So any extra out of these will obviously go to make cute stuffies, because I obviously love knitting them, or I can put them together and make some stripy mitts, a headband. Possibilities are endless. But as far as patterns that I'm wanting to make, there is this mermaid tail beanie, which has been on my radar, my knitdar for a while now. This is a pattern by Kaylee Reedy. It's a $9 pattern. I know it's very expensive for a hat, but I really love this hat. And honestly, I could probably just kind of look at it and figure this out. But the other one that I really have that I like is this pattern called Winter Dream Hat. This is a $6 pattern by Kadora Hudson, and it does have a little bit of cabling in it, which is not a hard thing at all. But I think typically I don't like to use a variegated yarn like these in something with cables, but I kind of want to try it just to kind of see how it would be like with this color, because there's not that much of a big bright color to hide your cables. When you do something with cables, the more bland the yarn, I guess you can say, the more your cables are going to pop. Same way with lace. But this is a really fun hat, and for $6 to make the hat as far as the yarn, because it was on clearance, I'm willing to try. But I'm probably definitely going to make one of them into the mermaid tail beanie, because that way that hat is made, I think it's really going to look pretty cool with the dye style of this yarn. Another one that I want to make is called the Nola Klooch. I guess that's how you say it. I don't know. This is a $5 pattern. This is from Hilary Smith Callis, and this has been in my queue for a while. Typically, this is not a style of hat I would normally wear. Usually I wear a little bit more of a basic beanie, but I do love the, what is that word? That word is something. Twisted brim that this one has. I think it's a really cool technique, and I think it would be kind of cool to work that up. It also has a really pretty top decrease section that looks kind of like a little pinwheel to me. But I think that the way that this is written with a stockinette, it would really allow the yarn to do its thing as far as coloring. Another thing that I thought would be an option with these would be a shawl, because there are several shawl patterns, and I actually have one already queued up that is called the Instant Shawl Galetta. This one is actually a free pattern, and it's super cute. It is a 180 to 190 yards pattern, but it's a half circle kind of. It does have some, it looks like some elongated stitches, and you make those just by dropping stitches on purpose. It's actually a really fun technique. Cats, man. I actually used that for this shawl, and it is actually for a couple of shawls. It's kind of scary when you're doing it because you're like always told don't drop stitches, don't drop stitches, and now the pattern is telling you to drop stitches. From what I can tell, these are just a basic elongated stitch where instead of wrapping the yarn around the needle one time to make a larger yarn over it, you do it several times, and then when on the flip side, when you go back across, you would just drop those stitches. But it works amazingly, and I've done this technique several times. I actually have a tutorial on my channel regarding it that I'll put down below and in the cards. It's really fun, and it creates this kind of open, airy fabric. But those are some of my top ideas that I plan on using my weights for. Now, naturally, other things may catch my eye before then, as they often do, and why my queue is over 300 things long. But as for right now, that's what I intend to do with them. So now let's look at the tonals that I got, because I did get some tonals. I got 2 tonals in the gray, which is called Iron Soot. I love this gray. I already have 2 of these actually, but I got 2 more because I can do like some kind of t-shirt with them, because that would give me a total of 1,600 yards, which would be kind of short for me on yardage because of my size. But if you're a smaller person, it's super easy to make a wearable with that much yardage. But I got 2 of these, and I got a aged gold, which is this yellow. Let me show that one in a minute. I got a dark denim, which is this blue. I got a cardinal violet, which is this red. And going back to what I said when we were talking about the bulky weight yarn, it's always good to kind of know what you're going to need them for, except for when it comes to fingering weight yarn. Because fingering weight yarn like these are a standalone item, or you can put them with something else. But if you're going to buy, like, say 2 of these together, or you want to make something that you're going to need 2 of them, you're going to need to know that ahead of time. Because you could have a situation where you buy one like this, and this is called Chestnut Amber, and it's super gorgeous. Those are not the same, but they are the same. They were just dyed at different times, and that is one of the double-edged swords of hand-dyed yarns, and it's also one of the benefits of hand-dyed yarns. None of the yarns are going to be identical, and they're going to vary from dye lot to dye lot. And even though these have a dye batch, it's not really a dye lot because they can't recreate this, even though it is a commercially hand-dyed or kettle-dyed yarn. And it is a big difference in these. I bought them to use as singles are as pairing with other yarns, which is what I bought all of these for, really. Because I love to make shawls. And a lot of my shawls I like to make with just one color, but most of the time I like to use anywhere from 3 to 5 colors and make these big, ginormous shawls. They're just a pleasurable knit for me, and it's something that I can get a lot of wear out of where I live, and I've talked about that before. But I have a couple of shawls that I picked out to talk about. One of them is this owl shawl that is just, it's too cool for words. This came out in February, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, wow, yeah, I need that in my life. And I'm not going to try to say the designer's name because I'll butcher it, but it's Natalia well, I guess I'm going to try to say her name, Morvea. There's is a newer pattern, so there's only been 11 projects done. It looks kind of intimidating, which could be why there's only been made 11 times, but it's super cool. But I'm thinking, I don't really like this blue to use with it, but I do like this yellow for the eyes, and maybe like one of these, and then pull from other colors in my stash. But that is something, I mean, I could do it and have like a crazy looking fun owl, and that's just one of the ones that I wanted to talk about. Another one that I wanted to show was the pattern called Vinzea. And this is a Hohe Locatelle. Love all of her patterns. This is a paid for pattern as well. This one was actually gifted to me by her. This utilizes just one skein of yarn because these are 420 yards. They are 3.5 ounces and 100 grams, 385 meters. And this pattern is written for only 400 yards. You would actually even have a little bit left over. You could get a square for a mitered square blanket or a barn raising square out of this. And because it has just a little bit of lace detail and it has that main body that just has texture, your variegated yarn, even this crazier one, would look amazing in this pattern. The other one I wanted to show you is called Stormy Sky. Now this is a free pattern, and the smaller one uses 420 yards, and you can make a larger size for 550 yards. The great thing about this shawl though is because the way it's made, it's one of those you can just knit till you get close to running out of yarn and then just cast it off, throw some tassels on there and call it a day. I love that it has all this open work because it's going to block bigger, and it's knit on a larger needle. So even though you only have 400 yards, you can get a really big shawl out of this. But this is a really pretty shawl. The next one is Masquerade that I have picked out. So Masquerade is another free pattern. This had actually come across my feed because one of my Ravelry friends had made this. It has only been made 18 times, and I think it's an older pattern actually. Yeah, from 2017. I just don't think it got the recognition that it deserves because it's really pretty, and you only would need one skein of this, 420 yards, and I think this has a buffer on it. But it's really pretty, and it has a lot of stockinette, but it has this really cool detail, and then it has that whole side panel with the lace. I think it would look gorgeous as a fall shawl, and one of these are in this red color. So that is one of them. Another one that I have on my knitar is a Knit Night. This is another oldie but goodie. This has been around from the dawn of time. I think this is probably one of the first things I've ever queued, actually. Let's look. It came out in 2013, yeah. And I just haven't made it yet. And I think it's because it's a lot of garter. And garter is great, but garter is also very boring to me. But if you're looking for a knit for spring break or summer break or traveling or even knit nights, garter is definitely going to be a great choice for you. This pattern retails for about $3.86. It is around 383 to 575 yards depending on what size you want to make, but you can easily make one of these out of one skein of this. Another one is Placebo, I think that's how you call it. This has been another one that I've had on my list for a while to make. It is by Jennifer Dasaw, maybe. It's on like more of expensive side of $7.50, but it also utilizes a lot of garter, but she did put some eyelets in there to break it up, which makes it a little bit more happy for me. The small one uses around 350 yards, so you would have definitely plenty to make it in one skein. And then the last one that I have to share with you is a crocheted cowl. This is super cute. I'm trying to find, it is the Rosetta cowl, I think. Rosetta cowl, I'm probably saying that wrong. It is a paid for pattern, but it uses 220 yards roughly, so you can actually make the size that it has, but you can also make it bigger because this is going to be 420 yards. I think it's super, super cute. You can do it in one color. The pattern would have two, but even doing it in two colors I think would be a lot of fun. I think those would be even a great combo. Even possibly those or those. Endless possibilities. The gray and the yellow. That is a stunning combo right there. Stunning! There's a lot of hat patterns, and I have a lot of cute fingering weight hat patterns. Cute. I guess I can talk about those real fast. So one of the cute hat patterns I have would be, for me, would be the garter snake hat. Now this has been on my to make list this year. This is a brioche hat, and it is so amazing. Look at the detail. I love that it has some garter, it has that brioche, and it's got the rib. But I love some geometric like line. I don't know. It's just asymmetrical. It's just happiness in a hat for me. And it only uses 250 yards, so you can, break two of these little skeins open and have some left over for something else. But I just think it's probably one of the coolest hats I've seen, and I definitely want to make this thing. Oh my goodness. Pretty amazing. Another great one, because these are tonals, are going to be any kind of hat with lace or cables. I have two that I've personally queued. Actually, I have three. This is a Zareen hat. This is a $7 pattern. I'm going to link it, but it is gorgeous. Now, this one, I think they held a skein of mohair to give it that halo, but you don't have to hold mohair with it, and it'll still be super pretty. There's a lot of these kind of like style, just these basic cable. A lot of people use them in solid, and some of them will actually do the cabling part in a separate color. But this is called As One Fairy to Another hat. This is just a gorgeous, thought out hat. I mean, it's just so pretty. I love the detail, but it's something where a tonal is really going to allow that cable to pop and be like, oh wow, look at me. But then there's also, you can do stuffies. There's just so much you can do with just picking up a tonal yarn. And they had marked these down to $3.99. So, love my tonals. And that's what I have in store for mine. So the next grouping I'm going to show are the sparkle bases that I picked up. I did get 4 different colors of them. One of them only got one of, just because all the other ones that they had in the store looked so different, and they were so much more muddied, as looking more brown than having color vibrancy, and so I only got one. And to be honest, I don't have a lot of sparkle yarn. There is not a lot of sparkle fingering weight yarn in these bookcases. And it's not that I don't like the sparkles. I actually love the sparkles, but I always feel so weird in knitting with it. Like I don't know what to do with it. Which is crazy, because I can use any of the patterns that I've already mentioned for these. But the colors that I picked out, and I only got one of another one too. But the colors I picked out I have really always been attracted to since I first saw them in the store. There's actually this video on my channel where I did a Hobby Lobby walkthrough one day. This was a while back, and the thumbnail photo is actually this yarn, this very yarn. Because even back then I saw it and I just thought it was stunning. And to be honest, when I knew that this markdown was happening, this is what I went for. Just these two. I wanted to get these and a couple other these other colors, like in those chunkies, to kind of play with and try out. But I always wanted this color. And that is why I was so adamant about being there when she first started doing markdowns, so I can get just 2 of these. And my store actually had 6 of these, but I just wanted 2. Just wanted 2. And I got my 2. But look how pretty that is. So what I'm thinking about doing with this is a silver metallic strand. These are 99% superwash and 1% metallic polyester, because that little sparkle is the metallic. I want to do a shawl in this, and I'm wanting to use some beads and pull from the yellows, the reds, and the blues and do some kind of beaded shawl. I've done beads before in knitting. I actually really, really enjoy it. It's a really fun process, and it just creates this beautiful garment. I'm going to find a shawl that has a lot of either stockinette or garter to ensure that this color doesn't get lost, or that the pattern doesn't get lost in it. I'm thinking about even doing that masquerade that I just talked about in this colorway, and then along the spine where it kind of goes off to the side, do beads on those. I think would be super cool. But that is my idea with this. And the more I think about it, the more that's probably what this is going to be. This might be my masquerade. Another color that I got was Wisteria Moon. And again, it's purples and blues. They had a bunch of these, but I only wanted one of these. Again, just because I'm not a big sparkly person. But I just wanted one because it's enough to make, like I said, a shawl with, a hat with. And this is probably going to be a hat. And it may be a sock head hat, which is probably one of my favorite styles, or a Midas hat. I'm going to put both of those links down below. Other ideas besides basic beanies would be something like the spur hat. It's about $3.98, which I think is a very reasonable price for this beanie. It looks pretty basic, but the way that it is constructed is super cool. I love how you have like this panel going down and then you have these side panels. And I think it would be really cool to do in something like this because it's going to break up any pulling, the way that it's made. And it's just a cool hat. I mean, let's be honest. But you can easily get one, possibly 2, from this yarn. Another one would be the Beanie Hat Wheatfield, which I think is another gorgeous hat. And it's super cool that it has like this texture to it. But I think it has, the way the cables are made, I don't think it would be lost in the yarn dye. But it could. But you can easily do it in one of these tonals and it would look smashing. So another one would be a Barley Lights. This would be a great knit for a first time knitter, but also for this crazy fun sparkly yarn because it's just a great pattern. It's by Tin Can Knits. It's free, so we all love free. I love the fact that it does the garter and the stockinette. I think it would really allow you to see how the colors play in both of those stitches. And that's probably what I'm going to do with this one, is make that barley hat. I've made a barley hat before, but I've always made them for donation. And I want my own barley. So this is what it might be, because I think it would be it'd be perfect for a fun sparkly yarn. So this is going to be my barley. The Oakley Slouch is another one that I came across and it's actually a crocheted version. And it's so telling when you look at the yardage of a knitted beanie versus a crocheted beanie. Obviously, crochet does use a little bit more yarn, but you still can get a crocheted hat out of one skein of these. So the Oakley Slouch is about 330 yards to 350 yards, and I think she used a self-patterning yarn for the main body of the hat, but I chose this pattern because it's free and it's just to give you a basic starting point as far as knitting or crocheting a hat out of fingering weight yarn, as far as the numbers, because you can just follow her directions for the brim and the actual hat body, and it would just look a little bit different because of the dye technique on your yarn. Another freebie that I wanted to throw in the mix because of its cool construction. I think cool construction hats are just super fun because they're not a lot of time commitment, and it keeps your mind active. My cat is snoring. But this, I'm not going to try to pronounce her name. It's only been made 48 times. It's a free pattern, but it has some really cool details, the way it folds over, and it's crocheted for all you crochet lovers. And I'm going to throw a picture of the back of it right here because I just think it's a super cool hat, and it's one that I personally want to try to make just because of that construction detail. And then the last one I wanted to talk about, this one's actually a paid for pattern, and it's called Jewel Urchin Hat. And I think this is a really cool looking beanie. It's more of a fitted style beanie, which I do enjoy those. I think they're kind of nice. It's great for fall. It's very fall for me. I don't know why. But I love the different textures that this hat offers. And it only uses 200, roughly on the largest size, 265 yards of yarn. So you have plenty of yarn to make one of those with, as well as having leftovers for squares or anything like that. Those are my ideals for those. But I did want to show you the other colors I got. I did get two of, this is called Greens and Grains. They're really, really pretty. I got two of these because I also loved this color combo. But you can see how much, this one has all these reds in it and browns, and this one doesn't have any as much. So if I use these together, I have to be mindful of that, or I could have some crazy looking spots. But I think they're just really, really pretty. I did just get one of these, and this looks very, very similar. A lot similar, but this is actually a different color. This is called Mahogany Harvest, and it actually has more browns in it, but it looks close enough that I can probably use these three together. I mean, these two even look more than this one does, which is kind of crazy. I wonder if this was just mislabeled. I mean, it looks like it would be just mislabeled, right? I mean, I don't know. But supposedly, these two are different color yarns. I like them. I got them. I got two more base type yarn. I got three of these that have the lysil in it. So this is a 50% superwash merino, 50% lysil. It's 100 grams and 400 yards. And a lysil is a semi-synthetic fabric that is commonly used as a substitute for cotton or silk. So these don't really have silk in them. It just kind of feels like that way. The fabric is a form of rayon and is composed primarily of cellulose derived from wood, which is pretty interesting. So it's a fabric made out of wood that is made to imitate silk. It's crazy. But these are super pretty. These are super, super soft. These, again, all these patterns I've been talking about, the fingering weight yarn, all of them apply to these if you're looking for pattern ideas, or if you're just wanting an idea of what to start. I would not make socks from this, just like I would not make socks from these if it was me, just because it doesn't have nylon for durability, and I don't want to spend that much time knitting socks and have holes come in a lot faster than I typically would. But I did get a couple colors of these. I got 2 of this Indigo Desert, which again, these are the same yarns, but they possibly could be from different dye lots because one has a lot of reds and one has a lot of blues. Which they are. They're different. They have different dye lot numbers on them. But I bought these to kind of use as individuals for hats. And possibly fingerless mitts. And that's probably where I'm going to kind of stay with these. Fingerless mitts or hats. I do love wearing fingerless mitts because my hands, even right now, my fingers are so cold. The tips are cramping. They had one skein of this. I don't know what the color name of this is because there was no label. And when she was marking them down, I asked her, I was like, you know, I'll buy that if I can get it on clearance, because she didn't know what color it was. So she talked to the manager and they were like, yeah, just get it out of here. So I love the bluish green in that and the purples. It is very, very pretty. So this is the one that has the lysil in it. And this is the one that has alpaca in it. So this one is a 100% baby alpaca. It is a sport weight yarn, where these are all fingering weight yarns as well. And these are actually completely different yarns. They look very similar. They have a very similar sheen. But you can see the one with the lysil has a lot more of a sheen, and it almost looks like it has a, I don't want to say plasticky look to it, but I mean it has a silky synthetic material. Both of them kind of have a halo. The baby alpaca obviously has a little bit more halo, and it's a lot fluffier. It's a lot more of a lightly spun yarn. You're gonna have shedding with the baby alpaca yarn. It's just literally the nature of the beast. It's gonna shed. But baby alpaca is such a soft, warm fiber, and it smells just like alpaca. It's amazing. This is the colorway Heather Harvest, and I was going to get more of these, but I love baby alpaca yarns, but because they shed, like I just feel like I'm picking off cat hair off of myself all the time, and it drives me crazy. But I wanted to get one because I really loved this colorway, and this is going to be a headband. This hairband out of it, because the alpaca is going to keep your ears warm, even though it's a super lightweight fiber. It's a very warm fiber. So one of the patterns that I pulled up was this Cosmopolitan option. This one uses a total of 215 yards. So you would need to have 2 because this only has 185 yards, but the smaller version only requires 100 yards. And I think it has to do with the thickness that you make it. But I think it's super, super cute, and so I really wanted to show you and add it to the list. But when I saw this, what came to my mind was something like this knitted one that's called Diana headband. This is by Carrie Helen Rain. This is about $3.86. It only uses 126 yards, which I would have enough for it. And the original one was made out of an alpaca, so you can kind of get the idea. But it's just this luxury, fluffy looking wider headband that has this gorgeous cable detail. And there's not a lot of color on this skein, so I think that it would really do well with just that one big cable. And so that's what it's going to be. It's going to be my Diana. And that is all of my Hobby Lobby haul clearance. Not really a lot when you compare it to some of these other hauls, because I mainly wanted the hand-dyed yarns, and they're a little bit more, $3, $3.50 to $3.99 a piece, well, $3.80 to $3.99 a piece, so it's a little bit higher price point, and I wanted to keep it under a certain amount of money, but I did want to pick up some of these that I've been eyeballing for quite some time. And I was excited to do so. But I hope you enjoyed this video and this looking at patterns. If something caught your eye, I would love for you to let me know down below in the comments. If you wind up making one of these patterns that I talked about in this video, please come back and let me know, and maybe send me a photo of that. I'll share it out in my community tab, and you know, just give you a little shout out on the video in the description, letting everyone know that you made it. And if you put it on a social media, I'll link it to where they can go check it out. If you're new to my channel, thank you so much for clicking on that little thumbnail and seeing what this video and this channel is all about. I love yarn, I love knitting, I love crocheting, I love spinning, and if you love any of those things, then maybe consider hitting that subscribe button and that like button and hanging around for some more. If you're returning, thanks so much for coming back and spending some of your precious time with me. I love each and every one of you, and I hope you have the most craftiest of all weekends.